certain levels of experience that some parents have with technology. And so what we want to be able to do is kind of review a couple of the popular apps that are being used by your students, and again, give you an opportunity to ask questions, and don't be afraid to, because that's what this is for. So we are going to provide opportunities for you to ask questions. Feel free to use the chat box so that you are able to type in your questions. But if you can, go ahead and just make sure that your mics are muted, just so that we can make sure that we don't get any echoing, and we can kind of get through this as efficiently as possible. Move on to the next slide.
Before we do that, I just wanted to show where on Sanger Learns all of this will be housed. The slides are lagging a little bit, so I'll try to make sure that I'll just share this tab instead. So on Sanger Learns, we have a parent page. And when you click on that parent page, the slides from our first session, as well as the slides for this evening. So these are the slides and the recordings from session number 1. And then if you keep scrolling, you'll see the slides and eventually the recordings from this session, from session 2. So here are the slides if you wanted to follow along with us. And they are also linked in the chat on the Sanger Learns page.
Looks like Addie is sharing her screen. So this is why we give our teachers grace and patience, because they experience something very, very similar. And so as our teachers start kind of navigating this, you guys kind of experience some of the things that they go through. I just want to go ahead and introduce ourselves. I am Thomas Soto. I'm the Director of Ed Services here in Sanger Unified. And my 2 departments that I oversee is curriculum and technology, both really important to the facilitation of distance learning. I'm going to go ahead and have each of the other members of our presenting team introduce themselves and simply say hi. In order, starting with Nicole.
All right, so I am Nicole Rosales, the Coordinator of Curriculum and Instruction. Welcome.
Hi there, I'm Rachel. I am a District Instructional Specialist.
I'm Rhonda Siqueiros, also a District Instructional Specialist. Welcome.
I'm Liliana Gomez. I'm the Literacy Specialist at Centerville Elementary, and I'm supporting with the Spanish language.
Hi, my name is Jerry Trevino. I work for technology. I support the iPads and the teachers.
And I'm Katie Galt, and I'm a District Instructional Specialist.
Okay. So I believe we are going to go over to the agenda. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to our curriculum coordinator, and that is Nicole Rosales. And just remember, if you do have questions, feel free to use the chat, and we will go ahead and give you some times to unmute yourself and ask questions verbally as well. Do not be afraid to ask questions, because that is what we're here for. Even if it's a question that's not even related to the agenda, that's okay. We're here to help you. And Nicole.
All right, so this evening we're going to be talking about a couple of the programs that we use here in Sanger Unified, one of those being Clever, iReady, Seesaw, Zoom, Canvas, and Google Classroom. So our goal today is to go through what they are, why it's used, how to access it, how to monitor progress, and then we'll be able to answer questions if you have any.
Sorry about that. So again, on Sanger Learns, this will be where you will find it. We showed it before, but on Sanger Learns, just like Rachel said in the chat, we are recording these sessions. So if you go to sangerlearns.com and then click on parents, the videos, as well as a bunch of troubleshooting tips. So here is the parent page. At the top of the parent page, if you see where it says need tech help, click here to check the troubleshooting page. A lot of tutorials have already been shared here, including the tech hotline, PowerSchool hotline, but there are different logins and information regarding all of the platforms that we'll talk about tonight, as well as others that we talked about in the first session. But that is all on Sanger Learns and either the troubleshooting page or the parent page. We also just wanted to make sure that you are aware of how we're downloading apps. So on our iPads, the iTunes, the App Store is not enabled. Instead, we use the app portal, or on the newest iPads, the Mosel Manager. You would see one of those two icons, either the app portal or the manager. Then from there, depending on the grade level and site, different apps are available for our students, and you would just click on the app and then click on either install for the portal or install/reinstall/update in manager. And that's where you would find your apps. If your apps are not showing up or you don't have the app portal, that would be when you would talk to your teacher, and we'll communicate that with technology. Were there any questions regarding specific, like downloading apps, things with the app portal or manager, or any troubleshooting within this right now before we go to the platforms? Okay.
All right, so the first thing that we're going to talk about is Clever, and some of your students may be using Clever, some may not, but we have a single sign-on called Clever where teachers can put apps, and it is on the iPads. It's in the app portal, and you would simply put that onto your student's iPad for them to be able to access the program we're going to talk about today is iReady. But students have a username and a password, which is basic. It's just their ID. So ID for them to log on. And it's clever.com, and you make sure that you click on Sanger Unified. If for some reason you're having trouble, you can always go to Sanger Learns, because we do have a link there that will take you to Clever. And then I'll talk about the badges. Sorry, Katie. So there's two ways students can log on. So there is the username and password, but then your teachers may also have printed out badges or might be printing out badges. Normally that's for like TK, first grade. And that just makes it really simple for students to be able to log on. They just basically, they show their badge to the camera, and then it logs them on. Teachers can put many different apps into Clever as a single sign-on, and single sign-on basically means that once they put their ID number as their username and their password and they log into it, anything that's within Clever, they automatically log into. So it's a really easy way to get students into programs. And so this is what it looks like. If you notice the little cube, that is iReady, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. But each teacher has a teacher page, and so you click on the teacher page to get to the apps that the teacher wants the student to work on. There are apps just in the portal that the district has, but normally a teacher will tell you to go to their page to be able to access the programs that they would like the student to go into. All right, so what is iReady? Most of your students have probably been taking the diagnostic, which probably is taking them a little bit of time. And honestly, the diagnostic originally was meant to be taken in person, but obviously we can't do that at this point. So it might be taking students a little bit longer than they would like to be on it, but the data that we gather from iReady is very important for us to know the things that students know and the things that students don't know. So it's really a way for us to monitor progress and a way for us to also provide instruction to students that is at their level. So once students take the diagnostic in reading and math, it identifies their needs and their level and gives them instruction that they will be able to do on a daily basis. They should do 15 minutes a day, and that will help them to make progress through the grade levels. And the second diagnostic they take in January, we will see progress. And so that's really the point of the diagnostic, is to measure progress over the year, as well as identify where they are and provide the support that they need.
Nicole, can you clarify the grade levels that are using Clever or that are using iReady?
Yes, so 1st through 8th grade will be using iReady in language arts and math. And some select students at the high school are students normally in reading recovery, or if they might, have special ed services. So those students have access to iReady. TK and 1st grade have not probably touched the diagnostic yet because their iPads were not able to support it. But now that they are receiving their iPads or have received their iPads, you will be hearing about it. Oh, you know what? Oh, thank you, Katie. Go ahead.
iReady serves two.
I just have to move the thing up a slight bit to be able to make it full screen. Sorry about that.
For the student, iReady serves two functions. Number one, it's an online diagnostic assessment that pinpoints math and reading skills down to the sub-skill level. And number two, it's online learning that caters to a student's specific needs, whether those needs are on, above, or below level. I'd like to share 4 things you need to know about iReady. Number one, the iReady online assessment is adaptive in nature. This means that students see questions based on how they're performing. If a student struggles, the questions get easier. If a student is breezing through, the questions become more challenging. Once a student completes the diagnostic, the teacher will know exactly what the student needs, so it eliminates the necessity to over-test our children, thus allowing more time for teaching. Number two, the iReady online instruction is personalized to the individual. Once a student completes the diagnostic, his or her results will differ from classmates. So we give each student their own pathway based on diagnostic results. If the student needs help with reading comprehension, that student will get lessons to help. If the student has geometry skills above grade level, that student will receive geometry content that's above grade level. Support for those who have gaps to fill, enrichment for those who are exceeding grade level expectations. Number three, iReady is not a grading tool. Your child won't get an A or a C- based on how they perform in iReady. iReady supports students, challenges students, gives students math and reading content that is right at their level. iReady helps children to grow, but it is not used to assign grades. And number four, iReady is not designed to replace the teacher. In every school district, teachers are an irreplaceable asset. iReady supports teachers by helping group students with similar needs for targeted instruction, what we call differentiation. Once small groups are established, iReady's teacher toolbox is just one of the many resources that teachers may use to provide targeted instruction. But replace the teacher? Never. Thank you very much for watching this video. We look forward to seeing your students succeed with iReady.
All right, so the next part we're going to talk about is progress. And on every student's iReady portal, when they go to their home page, they will see 2 things. Katie, do you mind going back to the previous slide real quick? So they will see to the right, My Path, which are the lessons that they should be doing 15 minutes a day to ensure that they are receiving instruction at their level. These lessons provide students feedback and actually give them tips for when they answer wrong. And then on the left of the screen in blue or turquoise, you will see teacher assigned lessons. And so those are lessons that teachers have assigned to students on particular standards. The other thing that you will see at the bottom is something that says progress, and it says my progress, and there's a little arrow. And that is where you will see how many minutes your student has participated or used iReady each week or daily. You can check it out. And it also will tell you how many lessons they have completed correctly, how many they've passed. So this is the way that you monitor their progress to see if they are putting in their best effort and making progress. And at the bottom, you'll see a link to iReady Central, and it's the Family Center. There are lots of videos here. There's lots of resources for parents and for families, so feel free to check that out. And at this point, I'll open it up for questions for iReady. Okay, then we will continue moving on.
Okay. And if there are, you can definitely feel free to use the chat or just interrupt or let us know if you have any questions. But we're going to move on now to Seesaw and Google Classroom. So first, Seesaw, I'm just going to watch. Go
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm sorry. So is the iReady, is that something like a progressive thing that they can go through on their own as well, or is that just an assessment? It sounds like it's like a progressive thing.
Yeah, so there's the diagnostic that they take that will give them the MyPath lessons, which are the lessons in the green and purple on the screen. And those are lessons that will progress through grade levels. So if a student is scoring at a 3rd grade level, they'll start off in 3rd grade, and it will take them through grade level standard lessons actually, it'll test them out all the way through 8th grade. So students will always have something that will challenge them.
Okay. So yes, feel free to use the chat or to unmute and you can ask any questions. But we're going to move on to Seesaw for right now. Seesaw, for the most part, is used in our TK, our transitional kinder, up to about 6th grade. We don't see it in the 7th through 12th grade as much. If teachers have used it, then they'll probably communicate and the students will be able to. But our elementary students have been using Seesaw depending on their teacher. Seesaw is similar to a Google Classroom or a Canvas in that it is a platform where students and teachers can go through assignments, have activities, and have some sort of communication. They call it a learning journal because you can see all of a student's work, but it's very hands-on and it allows for a wide variety of types of assignments. So I'm going to watch a quick What is Seesaw for Families?
Welcome to Seesaw. You may already know a little bit about Seesaw, like that kids get this excited to use it, that it gives you a window into your child's thinking, or that you become a powerful partner in your child's learning when you connect on the Family app. We're here to help you get started. It'll only take a few minutes. Your child uses the Seesaw Class app to complete assignments with Seesaw's learning tools. As a family member, you use the Seesaw Family app. It was made just for families.
And I'm going to pause that for a moment just to reiterate. Right now, with our students being home with their devices, you should really only be seeing the class app, but we wanted to show you what you would see. So I'm going to zoom ahead and get to the actual what they see in Seesaw.
Click Add Child's Journal. Click Scan Code, then scan your child's code. You're all set. How do you use this newfangled technology? We'll show you. First is the Home tab, up here. In the Home tab, you'll see the most recent work from all your children. Next is the Journals tab. The Journals tab allows you to see all work your child or children have created. Click on your child's name to view their entire journal for a class. You can do way more than just look at this work. Your child's teacher may have enabled likes and/or comments. You can click Comment, type a comment, or click the microphone to record a voice comment. Students light up when they know you've seen their work. Finally, the Inbox tab. This is where you communicate with your child's teacher. You'll receive class announcements and one-on-one messages. You can type a reply or click the plus button here to attach photos, videos, and more. Don't
I'm going to go back just a moment to see that, because Seesaw has all of these different tools. So a student, or with this family app, which again, you would probably use after we are not in a situation where the students have their devices at home, but you would use this app and the students could post either a photo, so they can open up their camera roll and take a photo. They can do a drawing, and with that drawing, it can also record their voice as they're writing a video. They can upload something from the camera roll and type a note. The link would link out to an external page, so like a YouTube video or a website. So I'm going to go back now and show some of the different pieces of what it would look like for the student. They see all of this when they click on that green add button. What their teacher posts could be either something for the journal or an activity. If they have an activity, they would click on the little light bulb and it walks them through the activity. Even down to our TK and kindergarten students, if they're not reading, the directions are read out loud to them, so they're able to work through the situation or work through the activity. For the student, they then have, again, that option to do a photo, a drawing, a video, and they have the ability to customize, so add text, record their voice, record their thinking as they're solving a math problem, record a video. They can draw and add, as well as save it as a draft. But really all they do then is click that green check mark and it posts to their page. So that's kind of the basics of Seesaw, what it would be used for, and then how to use it in a more simplified fashion. Are there any questions about Seesaw before we go on?
Katie, I have a quick question for you on there.
Yes.
Now, when you're posting stuff and you're sending it to the teacher, I'm assuming that the rest of the kiddos cannot see what this specific kiddo is posting.
So it depends on how the classroom is set up. There are some that are set up where just the student can see themselves and their work, and others where they have like a private area and then a class journal, so that the teacher can post something to a class journal and they can see a wide variety of work. For teachers, or I'm sorry, for students and then parents can only see their own students' work. They can't see the work of other students.
Now, in submitting these items, does the kiddo know that you're, let's just say for sake of argument, because I think you mentioned it earlier, just say that the kiddos were back in session, and as a parent, you can still come in here and take a look at what they're doing. And can the kiddo monitor that someone's been in there looking at whatever they're doing?
Once the family app, with that family app, it only will connect your student to you. So you would only be able to see that. So they would only, or you would have only been able to get that QR code from the teacher or your student. So I don't believe there is a like kind of a filter or like a monitor of who has viewed the pages, but the teacher can decide what is or is not shared to the class journal. And then the parent can only see their students' work on the Seesaw family app. And we'll provide more information as we come back into live sessions and the iPads aren't going home and you want to still be able to monitor. We would kind of make sure that you had access to that family app.
Okay, so the Seesaw also has an ability to be able to speak to the instructor or their teacher.
There is, we always recommend whatever the site or the classroom teacher is using for communication, be it Remind, or if there is, as opposed to one teacher having to check like 16 different places. Same as a parent, we would just want to filter through mostly a Remind or an email. There is, though, an inbox that a teacher can turn on or off depending on the grade level of the student. But same thing, students can't message each other. It's just teacher to student and then parent to student.
And just for clarification, then class building is no longer in play. It's all Remind?
It is a site-based decision. As a district, we have a Remind license.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the questions. Okay, so we are going to move on to Google Classroom. I saw some questions in the chat regarding Google Classrooms. So Seesaw, like I said, we got a district license for K-6. Some features of Seesaw are free, so there are some 7th and 8th grade teachers that use it because the drawing features or the ability to draw is a very, not just fun, but it can widen the scope of the assignments that you can have. So there are some upper grade teachers that do use Seesaw. I didn't want to paint that picture that it's only elementary. However, most are leaning more towards Google Classroom and Clever. So we're first going to talk about Google Classroom, and then, I'm sorry, I said Clever, but I meant Canvas. We get confused with them too, guys, don't worry. So we have Google Classroom, and then we'll cover Canvas after a quick little question and answer session. For Google Classroom, the students would log in with their @SangerUSD.net accounts. It's their ID number @SangerUSD.net, the same ones that we've used for a lot of different platforms over the course of several years. When they log in as a student, for the most part, we're in mid to late September, most classrooms have already been synced and joined. So a student probably at this stage does not need to join a class. They're already a member of a class. But if they did, they would need a join code from the teacher. On the Google Classroom page for each class, they have a class stream. So you can see at the bottom, there is a stream, there is classwork, and then there is people. Under the people tab, it just lists their teacher or co-teachers as well as other students. On the classwork page, it lists different assignments, and the teacher can organize that how they please, but they can have different categories, but there are usually some sort of either a grayed out activity or a green assignment that they need to turn in. And then on the stream are different announcements. Sometimes they post links to Google Meets or Zoom. In addition, in the top right-hand corner, right underneath the battery, there should be a camera icon to access the Google Meet if the teacher is using Google Meet. If there's ever a time where one of these buttons is not working or you're not seeing the camera icon, your best bet is to uninstall the app. So hold on to it until it starts to wiggle and you hit the little X, and then go to the app portal or the Mosel Manager and reinstall the Google Classroom app. Not Google Meet, because even though that's where you're headed, if you can't get there without this little camera icon, you'd need to reinstall the Google Classroom app. It is also available, and I forgot to mention that Seesaw was also available in a browser. So on a laptop, if you have one at home, or on a desktop computer, Seesaw is app.seesaw.me up at the top right-hand corner. And then Google Classroom is classroom.google.com. The other things that you might see within Google Classroom on an activity on an assignment itself, generally it would have a due date. There would be a comment that the teacher would kind of give some instructions for the activity and then some attachments. When the student clicks on your work, it makes a copy of the assignment so that they can either annotate on it or fill it in or type what's necessary. And then they can always add more attachments from Google or from their camera roll, and then they click turn it in. They also have a to-do list, which you'll also find in Canvas, and that to-do list shows assignments, missing work, completed work. They can check their grades there. It lists out the assignments by either this week, next week, or later on. And it kind of just helps the students gather all the materials on that to-do. So that is the basics of the Google Classroom. Again, it is not a full learning management system. It is a great kind of home base for our teachers, but it does not have the breadth of some of the abilities that you will see in just a moment with Canvas. But a lot of our teachers have used Google Classroom in the past, and that's where we're kind of, it's our starting point for this year if they were not yet ready to head into Canvas. So any questions before we move on either Seesaw or Google Classroom? And Rhonda in the chat put the web addresses if you are looking at it on an iPad. I'm sorry, on a laptop. So many words. All right. Then we're going to move on to the last platform, and I'm going to pass it off to Rachel Graft.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie. So just so that you guys know, I created a video right here on the left-hand side that is an overview of Canvas from a browser like Safari or Chrome. And I created an app overview of the the Canvas parent app. It's the same, you're accessing the same information. It's just, it looks a little different from the app versus the browser. So I wanted to give a tutorial of both. We're not going to play that right now. I'll walk you through everything that's on those videos, but in the event that you wanted to go back and watch those later, they're there for you. So Katie, if you could go back real quick.
Sorry, I was just going to show again because we had some new arrivees that we'll put the link in the chat. But this is our Sanger Learns parent page and the slides that we're working with, as well as the ones from the last session last week. But when we're talking about any videos, here's where you would be able to find them and then play them directly from these slides.
So I just added a link to our slideshow in the chat. So if you want to open that, you can also just save the slideshow and look at it later and go back and access it if you need to. So if you're logging into something to remember with Canvas, so this is a question like, what is Canvas? It's kind of like an all-in-one, like a one-stop shop type thing. Like as a parent, you can observe your kids' classes. Think of it as like literally a virtual classroom. So teachers can assign work, they can give tests, they can host virtual discussions. They have a grade book within there. There's basically an internal email system. There's a calendar within there. So really a teacher could hold any important information, content, instruction, all within the Canvas platform. Now, as a parent, probably the thing that you're most likely wanting to monitor is going to be your child's grades, whether they've turned in assignments, if they have any assignments that are overdue. So those are the things that I'm really going to cover right now. I'm trying not to overwhelm you with the platform and how to use it. So go back one slide real quick, Katie. So if you're logging into the parent app, if you have a parent account, let's just put it that way. If you already have one, then what I'm saying doesn't really matter because you already know how to get there. If you don't have a parent account yet, you can either sign up for a parent account through the website, which is listed right there on the slide. It's sanger.instructure.com. If you were to go to like canvas.com, it would not work because Canvas is an international company. There's thousands of school districts that use it. So we have to log into our Sanger specific platform. And then the alternate way that you can grab a parent account is through the parent app. So if you were to open an app store and type in Canvas parent, you can see the little blue sunburst right there on the two videos. That sunburst will show up on the app. So that'll be a good clue that you're in the right place. So last week we covered how to create a parent account and how to pair it with your student. So if you haven't seen that and you want to, you can click on that link in the chat, Sanger Learns Online Parent, and go back and review last week's session. But for now, I'm going to assume that you already have a parent account, and I'm just going to kind of walk you through. So here we go. So once you're logged in, and this is from the perspective of the web browser, all of these features are not on the app. And I'll tell you which ones are not. So this one specifically is not on the app. So if you want to set notifications, which basically means like you get an email or you get a text on your phone saying that your child turned in an assignment or that their grade is posted or that you received a message from your child's teacher, if you want to get those kinds of notifications or adjust them, you would go here. So you would click on account and then click on notifications, and you'll see at the top section of that notification preferences screenshot that's right there in front of you, there's different types of notifications you can get. You can get one immediately. You can get a daily notification that includes any events that happen within that day. You can get a weekly notification, which includes anything from the week, or you can just not get notified at all. So the sections that I highlighted with those red boxes are what I would recommend from a parent point of view. I have kids who have gone through elementary school and high school, and these are the things that I would want to see. The first would just be announcements. So if my kid's teacher is making an announcement for their class, like, hey guys, don't forget your Spanish project is due on Friday, and they send that announcement to students, I would want to get that announcement as a parent so that I could help make sure, like, hey, how's that Spanish project going? So you could click that one to be on. The next one that I would suggest turning on in some way would be grading, so that you can see your child's grades for individual projects. And then the last one I would recommend turning on would be conversations, which within Canvas is the equivalent of email. And I'll show you the details of that in a minute. But if you click on a conversation message, then you'll get notified if your child's teacher sends you something or if your student sends you something. No other students as a parent observer could send you messages. It would either be the teacher or you, or maybe you messaged a teacher and they replied. So that's how you would set your notifications. Are there any questions about notifications so far? Anything I've covered so far? So again, notifications cannot be set from the app. They have to be set from the web browser. So that's one feature that you want to make sure you do, logging into Safari or Chrome or something similar. All right, so next slide. The next feature I want to show you is the Observing tab, which is also within Account. So if you go to the blue navigation menu along the left and click on Account, and then if you look about 2/3 of the way down, there's that word Observing. And that basically just means that you're wanting to observe one of your students. So in the last session, we talked about how to get what Canvas calls a pairing code, which basically just means it's a code that comes from your child's account, and you enter it here, and it links your account with their account so that you can watch and see what's happening in your child's account. So that's one place that you can enter a pairing code. Let's just say you already signed up for an account and you have child number 1 in your family, you're already paired with them, but you forgot to pair with child number 2. You could enter that pairing code here. So again, if I'm speaking Chinese to you because you're like, pairing code, what's that? I have no idea what you're talking about. You'll probably want to go back to last week's session and watch the tutorial on how to A, sign up for an account, and B, pair with a child's account. Okay, any questions on that before we go to the next slide? All right. So the next feature is calendar, and this is a great feature for parents. So if you see on the left-hand navigation bar, there's a button for calendar. If you click on that, it will show you all of the assignments that are due for all of your students that you are observing all in one place. So it's kind of convenient. So you don't have to like click to find all the teachers and all the classes. Like every class that your child is enrolled in, Spanish, science, English, biology, whatever it is, social studies, all of the due dates will all show up here. So that's kind of convenient. So you can kind of monitor all in one place. Now, if for some reason you just wanted to see, you know what, my child's doing fine in math and fine in Spanish, I just want to see their social studies work. On the right-hand side of that calendar view, you'll see I put a red box around a section that says calendars. There's a drop down and there's a box for every single calendar that you're subscribed to, which basically means those are the courses that you're observing because your child is enrolled in those courses. So if you uncheck a box, you won't see those assignments in the calendar view. If you check it, you will see. So if there's a specific class that your child is struggling with and you really want to kind of hone in on that class, you can just select that one. But if you want to see all of it all in one place, maybe you have 3 kids, and you're like, I just want to see all their assignments all at once, so I don't have to be going here, there, and everywhere. You can click them all and see it all in one place. All right. Any questions about calendar?
Is that for all grade levels?
That is for all grade levels. If a teacher is using Canvas, then this calendar option is available. So, yep. There are teachers as low as kindergarten who are using Canvas. Actually, not kindergarten because the iPad issue. Second grade. There's teachers as low as second grade that are currently using Canvas, but now that we have iPads that are being updated and rolled out and pushed out to those primary grades, there will be some teachers even as low as kindergarten that will be using Canvas. Okay, next slide. So along that blue navigation bar along the left, that's kind of like the way you get around Canvas is through that blue navigation bar. Think of that as like your, I don't know, your directions. If you click on the inbox button, that's what Canvas calls a conversation, which is basically email within Canvas. So if you click on that inbox, you can create an email, and you'll see there's an arrow pointing to a little box with a piece of paper and a pencil icon. If you wanted to message your child's teacher, hey, Johnny, I saw that Johnny took a quiz and he got a D on it, and I was wondering if there was something that I could help with, help him with at home so that he can improve his score, or maybe you just have a question or you just want to communicate with a teacher. That's a very fast and easy way to do it. And those messages will not only appear in the teacher's Canvas inbox, but they will be sent to the teacher's email box, like their school email box too. So it's kind of like double duty. So it's like sending them an email and sending them a Canvas message all at the same time. So if you really wanted to get a message, you might consider using Canvas inbox. So that's how you could message teachers. You could also message your student that way if there was something, I don't know why you would do that. Maybe they're in class or you're at home or you're at work and they're at home and you wanted to communicate with them. You can message them that way. All right. Feel free to interrupt me if there's anything I'm missing or I need to slow down. Okay, so the next slide, this is the meat, like the heart, the meatiness of what you're looking at in Canvas, the actual courses that your kids are enrolled in. So if you click on dashboard, again, there's that blue global navigation menu on the left-hand side, which gets you to all things Canvas. If you click on dashboard, you'll see these little boxes. Each of those boxes represents a class that one of your kids is enrolled in. So in this example, there's 2 boxes. So that just means that only 2 of my child's teachers are using Canvas. So if you click on any one of those courses, it will open the virtual classroom for that course. So it's almost like you're going from kind of like the umbrella of Canvas and all the things that you as a parent can navigate and see. And you click on one of those course tiles and then you're in the child's class. So everything you see is specific to that class now. So the image that's on the right on this slide is what that first page will look like when you open your child's class. That's called the course homepage. And at the top of the homepage is usually going to be the most recent announcements that a teacher is pushing out to students. Katie, can you go to the next slide? And then along the white menu along the left, that there's an arrow in the slide that's pointing to it. Along that white menu, that's the course navigation menu. So the big blue one is like Canvas at large. The little white one is how to navigate within that specific course. So for this example, it's within my child's math course. So if you were to click on announcements, that would be announcements that are for my child's math course, not for all the other courses, just for math. If I were to click the next option down, which would be modules, modules are basically like where all the meat of the content that your child is learning is going to be. So it's kind of like a unit of study or a topic of study or a chapter that your child is working on. Most teachers will organize the work that your kid is doing through modules. So there could be a video that they watch, or a passage that they read and they write a response, or an essay that they're working on, or a discussion that they're having with their peers within their class. Any of those things that are the nuts and bolts of the content that your child is learning will be showing up under modules. Next screen, Katie. Then underneath that, you'll see grades is an option as well in that course navigation menu. Now, if you click on grades, it's not your child's grades for all of their classes. It's their grades for that specific class. So in this case, it's math. And it will show you every single assignment that has been assigned, your child's grade on that assignment. If the teacher left any comments for your child, like, hey, this was incomplete, I want you to revise this and resubmit it, those comments would show up in this field. If your teachers can even leave video comments for students, like they can record themselves and share commentary or give feedback or suggestions. You can even view those videos through this grades link. So that gives you an overview of your child's grades. And then Katie, the last slide, or the next, no, yeah, that's it. I was looking at a different section. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of the Canvas platform for a parent, how you can navigate it. So along the left-hand side is the global blue navigation menu that will kind of get you to all the things parent. And then within it, once you click on a specific course, the white menu is where you can navigate within a specific course. So, and remember, if anything that I said, you're like, whoa, I need to go back and watch that again, you can access this recording later. And there are also the recordings that I embedded in the slideshow that you can go back and watch. There's one for the Canvas web browser, and there's one for the app, specifically for the app. The app has fewer things that are viewable, like the grades. It doesn't show as specific of a breakdown of grades. You can't change notifications in the app, things like that, but you can still message teachers. You can still look at all the assignments. You can still look at the overview of grades. All of those things are available in the app too.
Thank you, Rachel.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. I know that there is a lot of information that was just presented tonight. And the reason why we are posting the recording is just so that you can take a look at this presentation again. And if there's a specific question or a specific thing that you still wanted to understand about iReady or Canvas or Google Classroom, you're able to kind of go back and forth with that. But we do have a little bit of time right now. So if you have a specific question regarding technology or curriculum with distance learning, it could even be something else beyond the topics we covered tonight. Feel free to unmute yourself and feel free to ask a question. So go ahead and wait patiently for a question to come through. Okay. Okay, this is great. Well, we are going to be putting together more parent institutes in the future. These were our first two, basically kind of the iPad 101 from last week, and then also the kind of more specific apps this week here. The DISs and Nicole are going to stick around for a few more minutes, so I'm going to formally close this session. So if you want to wait for people to leave so there's less people so you can talk, feel free. But I do want to thank you guys for attending our second Parent Institute. Be on the lookout for flyers for more coming up in the future. So thank you, and if you want to stick around,